When we look at floor plans, it has one primary purpose. And that purpose is to show the relationships between spaces. And in this example, it shows the relationship of the lounge and some studios to hallways. Floor plans can start giving some indication of materiality, what kind of things are there. But its foremost issue is relationships. So when we render floor plans, we want to make sure that the walls is its the strongest element on the page, and not the floors. We'll learn how to do those very lightly, so that they're in a secondary role. They may give us a little indication of the color of the material, but not overbearing, because when we step away from a floor plan, and you can look at some of the floor plans in the gallery, the ones that are clear, the floors are rendered very, very lightly and the walls are very dark or black. The ones that aren't so successful, it's when you try to render the floors too realistically and they become just this color blob up there. There's really hard to read from a distance. They may look great up close, and our temptation is when we get to the computer, it can get so real looking that we forget that people have to look at these from 10, 15 feet away, not 18 inches away from your computer screen. Okay? So, just like we've been trying to break the temptation of grabbing those really saturated colors in your marker set and stay pastel-y, same thing with floor plans. Okay? When we do floor plans, then, other stuff we've traced, this is too complicated to trace. I don't want to waste that time tracing and then rendering and then drawing the floor plan again. I just let the laser printer print it out. So when we do these, we always do the floors first. Because if it's okay to color outside the lines and the walls are so thin, we'll cover the walls up. When we do the walls, we'll hopefully cover up any extra color that we had left over. Okay. So let's do what's typically done here at South Dakota State and a lot of institutions, is in the hallways where we have a tile symbol. I am going to take a warm gray 1 and make gray tile. I can take a blender and quickly blend all the areas. I'm not paying close attention where the blender goes because I use the color to finish that. Then I'll take my gray 1, and when you start doing large pieces, you've got to go pretty quickly. I'm going to use my figure 8 technique so I get a nice smooth color. First I'm going to get the color down, then I'll start worrying about zigzag. I don't always have to color everything on a floor plan. I can have multiple floor plans of the same plan, multiple copies, and I can emphasize an area that I'm working on by just rendering that piece. There's a great example in the gallery right now of that kind of idea. Okay, so go ahead and try that. Blender everywhere. You have to work real quickly try to get a nice smooth color. Somebody wants to turn the radio on, that'd be perfectly fine. Now, one of the little tricks we can use when we do floors to help them look shinier or to show a different texture. So I can take the same color after it dries and add a second layer, but I'm going to use the tip, the fine tip, and I'm going to go on a 45-degree angle, right? That angle. I'm going to strike this in random places. Not always on the lines. Trying to make it a random pattern. Just to darken that up. We'll take some color pencils here in a second and finish it. Just one way to go about.
It doesn't matter what angle you do it at.
45.
No, I mean like this way or this
No,
way.
either 45. Question was, does it matter if it's this 45 or this 45? No, it doesn't matter. Always 45. You remember our hatching from last year? We always went 45-degree strokes. Same thing. Nothing new. Can always take an azure and right beside some of those stripes I did, I could add a little azure. Not every one. Trying to stay in. Excuse you. But it's not super critical that you stay inside the walls. So we'll cover those. Use your figure eights. Trying to not spend a ton of time. This type of presentation would be given early in the design process. Now I'm going to change these men and women's room to an office just to illustrate how to do carpet. Ooh, that didn't show up very good on the screen. It's kind of a tealy blue carpet. As an illustration, I will not try to render this teal and that dark. Okay? So I can look at the carpet and say, well, maybe it's like sapphire blue. And then I'm going to put color pencil on top of it. And I'll show you a trick with color pencil. I'm going to take my sapphire blue. Let's say that's going to be my carpet for everything. Again, remembering that my whole point of floor plans is showing relationships between spaces.